This is the future that the 80s wanted.
Oh, I'm liking this. It's cool.
I absolutely love it. I love our background. I know it's distracting, but man, this is so retro, futuristic 80s.
Yeah, it feels new, different ambiance.
Yeah,
definitely to the show.
This is good.
It's like we're entering a party,
Right. I'm on the grid going to Saturn, apparently. But, like in a computer game or something. It's like, what the Matrix turned out to be.
Yeah, and I think it's very fitting.
It's like very fitting because, spacey. Yeah, and today we are talking about something very. I think it happened in the 70s, but
yes, it was in the 70s.
We are talking about something very 80s like.
Yeah, it was getting close there. It was high tech, and I guess what is it called? The Travis Walton abduction case, right?
The fire in the sky.
The fire in the sky. Yeah, and apparently, too bad that movie could have been so much better because they left out so much. But that's
we were still in the age where you need to be, the media wants you to be scared of aliens and UFOs. It happened right in that stage. Oh my God. I'm sorry. This background is fantastic.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm talking about.
Woo!
So this is the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
Yes,
that is
improved.
I have a need to know Adam.
Hey everyone.
And I am Topher. Mr. Topher to you, young sir.
I like Mr. Topher. It's very fitting too with the new environment we have here.
Yeah, totally.
Because it does look like you're on your throne and you're like hovering over this realm.
I'm gonna have to change my PFP. Make it something that fits with this aesthetic. Oh, I love the neon. Man, it's such a good look.
Yeah, I love that look too. That whole neon. It's fitting for the genre too.
Yeah, there's something. It's such a weird combination because it's like nostalgic but also futuristic.
Right.
It's a really good look.
And of course, Saturn is there. Of course, it has to be Saturn.
Is that Saturn or is that just a planet with rings around it? Because Saturn doesn't have one of the moons I'm seeing is within the rings, and I don't think that's how science works.
Is that even possible?
I don't think it is.
Well, we'll see when we start presenting how this looks, but I guess our viewers let us know if this is distracting or if it's cool, or we're hoping to hypnotize you.
It's distracting to me, but in a good way.
I know. I can't stop watching the screen now. Maybe that's the point.
Yeah, maybe that is the point. Yeah, no, then it's a good move. We want eyeballs.
Well, it's been a busy week, other than us going into Travis Walton.
Yeah, you have sent me a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Oh wait, is this better? That's good. Nope.
Yeah, no.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So we are talking about Travis Walton. It is a completely crazy case.
Oh Hopefully, my God, it's so
people
nuts.
have heard of it. There was also a movie called Fire in the Sky that did not. It depicted everything that happened on Earth realistically, but
correct.
It also depicted his experience very unrealistically. He essentially had a cool chill out time with the aliens.
He did after he threw them out, right? When he was
the first ones he was scared. He woke up on a table and tried to fight them, and then they were like, hey, calm down, and then he did, and it was just a total chill experience. But in the movie he has like a needle shoved in his eye and all that other stuff.
It was really scary in the movie.
Very scary. I saw the movie the first time like 2 or 3 years ago. I liked it. Thankfully, I have known about the Travis Walton case for a long time, so I knew what had happened in real life compared to the movie.
I met a girl that knew him actually.
Really?
She was a friend of someone actually. That's how we were introduced. That's how we were introduced to her. And I remember it came up something about UFOs. I don't know, in the conversation. And she goes, I know Travis Walton. She said, he's such a cool guy and he's so down to earth. And So it was crazy to meet someone that knows him.
That's very cool. I mean, I've seen interviews with him. Philip Glass, my least favorite person on the planet. Well, he's no longer on the planet.
He interviewed him.
He got in there's an interview. It's not an interview. It's a debate with him, and it wasn't Travis Walton, but it was one of the people who was there when he got abducted.
One of the witnesses.
Yeah. They got in a big fight on live TV. Back when they used to air this kind of thing.
Yeah. TV was so much cooler back then. Like the stuff they spoke about, you'd never even dream of it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we can start. This is a good website. It has a lot of information about it. AlienUFOresearch.com.
Awesome.
Here, there's also I stopped at a good place on the Joe Rogan show where he talks about the experience.
Oh, cool.
And then we can continue after that. But this is such a crazy case. It's
really crazy. I mean, the thing is, the guy disappeared for a number of days. It's a completely wild story, but let's go ahead and get started. On November 5th, 1975, Travis Walton was abducted by aliens while on his way home from logging in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest in Arizona. He and 6 co-workers witnessed a bright light in the woods while driving home in Mike Rogers' truck and decided to drive towards to see what it was. When they approached the light about 30 yards away, they stopped the truck because they realized it was some kind of UFO that was about 20 feet in diameter and 8 feet high. At the time, Travis Walton jumped out of the truck and walked towards the floating object.
Would you do that? Would you do that?
Absolutely. No, I am Travis Walton in the story. If you go, look into these people's backgrounds, Travis Walton was always the first. He's someone who would have, done this. Just like, hey, Travis, go do this. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he would go do that.
Yeah, brave guy, tall guy, muscular, right?
And Mormon, I think.
Are they Mormon as well? I did not know that.
Yeah. I think, anyway, let's continue.
Yeah.
So he walked towards a flying object. Everyone else in the truck was yelling at him to come back when what they described as a bluish light came out of a flying saucer and directly hit Mr. Walton. Mr. Walton got slightly lifted off the ground and thrown back a few feet. At this point, Mike Rogers and the rest of the crew took off in fear. So yeah, they were loggers. They were going through the woods. They saw this light. And Travis goes, "Oh, hey, let me check this out." You guys,
what's that thing?
And he jumps out of the truck and it seems like, and this is speculation on my part, on the part of many other people who have studied this case. He goes under this UFO, kind of like making a goof about it. But the UFO tries to take off and accidentally blasts him and throws him back.
Yes, I read that too. Like static electricity, right? There's some static that happened that just knocked him out.
Right. Well, and I think he hurt his shoulder, which was the whole thing.
Right.
Supposedly, that's why they took him up in the UFO was to fix him up.
Right. Or maybe they thought they killed him by accident, something like that. So that's why they took him up as well.
Right. Yeah. So after the rest of the crew, Travis Walton's crew took off.
Of course, I would.
Well, I don't know.
Or maybe
I
not.
hope if we're driving out in the woods somewhere and
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't
thinking about it. No, I wouldn't.
So, and what the crew figured was about 15, 20 minutes, they decided to return to where they had left Travis, but both the UFO and Travis were gone. They searched for him for about an hour, hoping he had tried to get away, but he was nowhere to be found. Yeah, I know. They got back to town around 7:30 p.m. and Kenneth Peterson called the local Deputy Sheriff Chuck Ellison to report what had happened and that Travis Walton was missing. Deputy obviously skeptical of their account. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, sure, guys.
That's the whole thing of the story. Is a big part of it is, the police and the news thought that these people had killed Travis Walton.
Yeah,
and they were trying to hide it. They tried to hide it behind some ridiculous UFO story. So the deputy was obviously skeptical of their account of what happened earlier, even though all of the men were very distraught. In fact, later on, he was quoted as saying, "If they're acting, they were awfully good at it." At this time, the deputy called Sheriff Marlon
Gillespie? No, Gillespie.
Gillespie. I think it's Gillespie. I think you're right.
Gillespie.
Marlon Gillespie, who came down to interview the men with Officer Ken Copeland. They decided to get a search team together to look for Walton back at the scene, but there was no trace of him or the disc-shaped object that the men said had struck Travis. The police were beginning to suspect foul play.
Yeah, it looks like it. Oh yeah, and here's
the polygraph test. It really does, from a completely objective view. Excuse me.
Yeah. Like I mean, if I was in the position of the cops, I would think the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
You'd go, okay, these people clearly murdered somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just making up some wild story. So, well, let's go check just to make sure. And then there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But does that help the case if nothing is? Oh, but they don't see the craft, obviously, and then maybe no markings as well.
Right.
They didn't say anything about markings. All right. So the witnesses' polygraph tests. Because Mr. Walton was missing in the story the men gave of a UFO abducting him, the police decided to administer a polygraph test to the 6 men. The test was taken by the men on November 10th by Cy Gilson. During the polygraph, the men were asked questions such as, quote, if they had caused harm to Walton, if they were telling the truth about the UFO, if they knew where his body was buried. All of the men answered truthfully to the questions except Alan Dallas, whose test came back inconclusive. In Gilson's official report, he stated, these polygraph examinations prove that these men did see some object they believed to be a UFO, and that Travis Walton was not injured or murdered by any of these men on that Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a huge part of this case is that they all took polygraph tests, and apparently
except
all of them
that one
passed,
dude.
except for Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and again, it's polygraph tests. They're not allowed to be used in the court of law for a reason, right? I mean, they can be. Some people are just nervous.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're not truth tests like people want to believe they are.
It's inconclusive means it doesn't mean he was lying. It probably just means the guy's a nervous wreck. even when they ask him his real name.
I mean, I was gonna say I know the first couple questions they ask you are supposed to provide the baseline, but exactly. I know as hell I couldn't do that test. I'd be so nervous.
Yeah, if I was in a room hooked up to this thing and people accuse me of something and then asking me questions, the entire time everything's gonna be elevated. I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
You know what? That'd be a fun episode down the road somewhere
to test if we're good at that.
Yeah, we'll take a truth test. So what's crazy about this is, everyone is out looking for Travis. Where is he? He was found. He all right. Well, let's continue to read this. Yeah, it's such a bizarre case. So late in the evening on November 10th, Grant Neff got a phone call from someone that claimed to be Travis Walton. The low, raspy voice on the line said, "This is Travis. I'm at a phone booth in the Heber gas station and I need help. Come and get me." Because of the attention the story had gotten over the last 5 days, he thought it was a prank. Yeah, he was. Yeah, no, he was gone for this week. Yeah. It was a full thing. Because of the traction the story had gotten over the last 5 days, Grant Neff thought it was a prank and almost hung up, but the man on the phone expressed again that he was Travis and he needed help. Grant and Dwayne drove out to the gas station and found Travis on the floor of a phone booth he made the call from. He was in the same clothes as he was when he went missing. He was unshaven and visibly thinner than before. He was dismayed, talking gibberish about strange beings, and was scared.
Oh my God.
Took him to his mother's house and tried to feed him and washed him off, but he was in pretty bad condition and they had a hard time doing anything.
Damn. So bad condition, I guess tired. I mean, yeah, if he was skinny, he wasn't being fed either. Weird.
Well, no, that's the thing about this case is they found proof that he was being fed due to, I think it was like something about his urine and the ketones. Yeah. Like he was being.
Oh, so he wasn't starving.
Yeah. He was being nourished somehow. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. He's the abduction story.
Yeah, go ahead.
It took a while for Travis to tell his tale as he was pretty discombobulated, humiliated, and just all around shook up by the events that took place, as you can imagine. When he did, though, it was an amazing story. So he didn't go through regression, right? He remembers. So he's one of
I think,
or did he?
So I think he has a story from when he first was recovered, and then he did go into regression, if I remember correctly.
All right. So the first thing he remembered after being struck by the bluish light in the woods was waking up and thinking he may be in a hospital as he was laid out on a table with a bright light above him. He said that it was muggy and warm as he first opened his eyes and looked around in pain. He saw 3 figures standing around him, which he at first thought were doctors, but were wearing orange garments. It was then, when his vision cleared, that he realized they were not human. He described the beings as being less than 5 feet tall, having large dark eyes, large heads, and small facial features such as small nostrils and ears. This account is comparable to other alien abduction and similar to what people may call the Greys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so frightened, Travis then jumped off the table and attacked one of the creatures by striking it with the back of his fist.
Hell yeah, slap him.
He mentioned that it wasn't as solid as a human would be and was lighter and was thrown back more easily. At this time, the 3 aliens tried to subdue him, so he grabbed the nearest object to him and to try and fend them off. He managed to find a thin 1.5 foot long glass-like cylinder on the table next to where he woke up and tried to break off the top to use as a sharp weapon. Look at this guy.
But he's preparing for a bar fight. He goes, here, here's a cylinder I can smash up and stab him with them, and he couldn't break it. That's the funny thing. But I know this about the story. He's yelling at them, and they're all going like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like,
they're staring at him.
Hands up with the universal like, "Whoa, calm down, bro" sign. And
exactly.
Calm down. And he's preparing for a bar fight. I mean, this is a logger in the 70s. I mean, he's ready to go.
Exactly. Very muscular, huge guy. These guys are less than 5 feet, he said. So he was like a monster to them. Yeah. He started to yell at them, "Keep back." The whole time they never tried to communicate with him, or from what he could tell, each other. He was ready to fight them off at this point, so the 3 aliens fled the room. After they left, he decided this was a good time to try to find a way to escape. He left the first room and headed down a hallway, which led to a large spherical room with a chair in the center.
No, this is really cool stuff.
Yeah.
This room, what he found is incredible.
It really is. Just what an experience. Thinking there may be one of the creatures in the chair, he approached it carefully while noticing lights appearing all around him as he did so. These lights seemed to be stars from the walls around him becoming transparent. After he realized the coast was clear, he sat in the chair and pushed a small lever next to the chair, hoping desperately it might open a door for him to escape. At this time, the stars around him started to shift and rotate slowly as if he may be controlling the ship. So
he found the map room.
Wow, could you imagine the 70s?
He found the map room and tried to hit the eject button. I mean, a lever next to a chair. That's an eject button.
Imagine he's like flying through space. He's like, "I don't care. I want out of here."
Just ends up shooting himself into space. Oh, well, thank God that wasn't the case.
Yeah. So he then got out of the chair and walked towards an entrance to look for another possible way when he heard a noise and turned. To his surprise, it was not one of the aliens, but a tall human wearing a blue suit, a thick belt, and some kind of helmet with a glass face. He frantically asked him hundreds of questions all at once, but the man simply grabbed his arm and motioned for him to follow him, and he did.
Yeah, something that's not mentioned here is he, at the time, thought the human in the spacesuit couldn't hear him because of the glass helmet.
Okay. So he's like, he can't hear me.
Yeah.
So they traveled down a corridor, and the man led him into a large room that was shaped like a quarter of a sideways cylinder. In the room, Mr. Walton described it like a hangar, was about 3 shiny 40-foot saucer-shaped ships. So he's inside basically a cigar-shaped craft, it looks like, with other saucers in there. And humans. From there, the man continued to lead him down 2 other hallways and into a room that contained 3 other humans wearing the same blue suits. There's the blue suits again in these humans.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he proceeded
Well,
to ask. Yeah,
humans isn't, put quotes.
no, I know, but they're in so many cases, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I did send you that Dr. Giorgiani guy. He's way out there. I got his book. It's fantastic. Closer Encounters, it's called, and he says it's all these ones, these Nordics. He calls them time traveling Nazis.
Yeah, I mean that's a stretch even for me.
I mean, his evidence. I know his evidence though is something else. He's a philosopher, like an academic. He's a doctor. So, but the evidence he lays out is pretty convincing, and it is quacky completely. All right. So from there, he proceeded to ask these humans what was going on and if they could help him, but they did not respond. Instead, they led him to a table and covered his face with something that looked similar to an oxygen mask. After that, he awoke by the gas station in Heber, Arizona, and saw a disc-shaped object fly away.
Yeah, I mean his whole experience was like maybe 15 minutes, probably not even that long.
Yeah.
Obviously he was gone a lot longer than that, but his his memory was not that. He didn't have that much, much of the experience remembered.
Right. Yeah. So it was mostly just that encounter, though, right? Of him waking up,
Yeah.
well, getting hit, waking up, finding them off, and then being comforted by someone that looks like him.
Yep.
And then
exactly.
And then put a gas mask on.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably kept him somewhere until they put him back for 5 days, or unless they time traveled.
No, I think there was a lot that happened to him, not in a bad way, but I think there's a lot. He only remembers, that small portion of it.
They probably were testing him too. Like, how come this guy, could get up and start fighting us and just grab tools?
Oh my God, what a moron! Why did he go under our UFO as we were trying to take off?
Yeah, and that's what probably took longer too, right? He probably broke something or something was wrong with him that they fixed.
Well, what's weird is it seems like the ship, something that isn't really covered in this, in this on this website. It seems like there was something wrong with the ship where they were struggling to take off. And then when they saw him, they hit the oh shit button. Let's get out of here, no matter what kind of damage it causes. But yeah,
Especially
here's pictures of all of the all of the crew. I mean, this is a very, very interesting case. But several of them were Mormon. I remember Philip Glass.
Really?
Some of
that
them
adds something because they're kind of.
I think Travis and his brother was one of the people in the crew, had done acid when they were like 17 or 18.
Okay.
And so Philip Glass used that as evidence as to some sort of hallucination or that they were faking it. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff tied up into this case.
Travis Walton's first interview, 11/11/1975. That's a month after it happened. Wait, when this thing?
So Walton's first interview on Face the State since being abducted and taken aboard an alien spacecraft. In the interview, Mr. Walton describes aliens as being like men, but not quite human. He said they had underdeveloped features, were hairless, and were slightly shorter than himself and dressed in kind of a brownish-orange one-piece garment, like they were prisoners.
Yeah.
He said that after packing up from work and heading home, he saw what he thought was a sunset and going to comment on it. That's when they all saw a UFO hovering off the side of the road about 30 yards away and stopped the truck. He got out of the truck and started walking towards the object. This is when he says he, in quotes, got stuck and was knocked back. I don't remember seeing any flash of light. When he regained consciousness, he was looking at a light coming from a ceiling while lying on a table.
Oh, so scary.
So cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Also, something that's not discussed and is often used to debunk this case is that Travis Walton and his brother, I can't remember his name right now, were both into UFO stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was their mom or something also, or
I think
just
I
both of
think the
them?
mom was as well.
Okay, so they had that. So I mean, yeah, you could use that. You could,
Right.
if someone wants to make up a story because they're interested in it. I mean, it was a small town in Arizona. I mean, not Heber. Where is it?
I'm blanking.
It's up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Travis Walton was abducted. The Apache Sitgreaves National Forest. I don't know. Yeah. So also, he did an interview in 1980. Mr. Walton talking with Paige Bryant and Jack Kanakit about his amazing experience being abducted in Arizona. He says he could see stars like a planetarium, but didn't recognize any of the constellations. He says the first thing he saw when he awoke were aliens, which he tried to talk to, but the aliens wouldn't communicate with him. He said if they were trying to communicate with me, it would have been a bad reception. It's crazy they don't talk to him though. I guess maybe he's just that type, that they couldn't.
So it's speculated that the human looking aliens that he saw were Nordics, and Nordics notoriously don't talk to the people that they abduct.
They just stare.
Uh-huh.
They're too good for
Well,
these lowly humans.
A guy with a really small mustache really admired them for some reason, and maybe it's because they don't talk; they just look at you.
Yep, yeah, and they are tyrannical. And I guess you have to be a space-faring civilization with these types of technologies. You do have to be tyrannical. It's just how it is. Yeah, what's this? This is a friend of Travis Walton's brother reporting the sighting and abduction to Newfork. That was in 1975. They have the recording of that. Pretty cool.
Oh wow, man! Yeah, this website does a really good job of organizing all this stuff.
You want to hear that? What?
No, let's keep moving.
Jerry Phillips report about Arizona town marshal conversation. I don't know what that means.
6 of them went in the woods. 5 of them came back. That's a great quote. I love it.
He's Travis Walton's brother, Ralph Anderson, discusses his brother's disappearance.
His brother, I
mentioned before you try to communicate with it.
So his brother said that Travis had mentioned before that. Yeah, okay. So this is what I was talking about earlier. His brother said that Travis had mentioned before that if he ever saw a flying saucer, he would try and communicate with it. That's why he got out of the truck and raised his hands to it. One person said they were very skeptical of flying saucer, but not so much anymore. And another said that he doesn't believe in them, but he saw one. That's a very interesting mental head state to have.
He doesn't believe in
I don't believe in UFOs, but I've seen one before.
Right. So that is interesting. But see, it still doesn't. That means they all have to be making it up too. So just because Travis and his brother have this interest in UFOs.
Right. So, man, I don't know if you've got any other websites queued up, but I mean, this was a whole event where people were trying to debunk this left and right. They were trying to figure out where Travis had, supposedly hidden for 5 days. What's funny is I could have sworn he was naked when he was found, but I guess not.
That's because the movie. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. But, and they had, they were so, especially Travis's brother, if I'm remembering this correctly, they were so serious about this. They took his urine, as soon as they found him, and had taken it to a doctor who turned out to be like a hypnotist or something, trying to figure out, what had happened to him.
So look at this. This is his return on 11/11 is a phone call came in. So is this the phone call?
He pleaded that he needed help. Yeah, let's give it a listen.
Well, my brother called us late this afternoon. We called him and got a hold of him, and he said that Travis is doing just fine. He said that as soon as Travis comes out, they will go underneath the progressive hypnosis test, and I guess that ESA test. And the only doctor.
Well, here, maybe the summary is better, right? a phone call came in, and the person said he was Mr. Walton. Mr. Ray said he pleaded that he needed help and was at the phone booth at the Amoco station. They found him passed out in the phone booth and brought him home. When he was weighed, he had lost 12 pounds. That's a lot. When asked what he saw, he stated that he knew he was in outer space because all he could see was stars. It was black, and there didn't seem to be any sun or other lights other than stars and the blackness of space. Mr. Walton said that when he was brought up into the spaceship, into space, the ship he was on docked with another ship, and he could see other ships in the vicinity, and they were all different shapes.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, well, if he was into UFOs, was that in the
Fire
what
in
is
the
that
Sky?
called? No, but these of like cigar-shaped crafts, and inside them would be other UFOs. Is that in the lore? That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, so if he was interested in UFOs, would that have been in the lore back then? I think so.
Yeah,
right?
that's a very good question. I think that's one of those things where when people try and look at UFOs rationally, they say, well, this can't be the quote unquote, mothership. This has to be something just for landing in small excursions. But they have to dock to something.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Crazy that he saw that. So a phone call from Travis's brother to Ralph Anderson, 1113. So Travis is in a Phoenix hospital under a fake name and is severely dehydrated. Do you want to hear this one? Hopefully,
yeah, let's listen to it.
Okay.
Sorry I didn't get back to you sooner.
No problem. I thought we'd give you a call and get a review as to what has happened since I talked to you last.
Well, nothing much has happened. They still have Travis in the hospital. They say he's dehydrated pretty bad. He's still drinking a lot of water and liquids. He goes underneath his first test tomorrow. Now, there's some conflict as what it's going to be, whether it's going to be a polygraph test or that progressive hypnosis. The 5 boys are going through that progressive hypnosis right now.
The witnesses?
Yeah.
I see.
They're in some place. They didn't say for sure where it was at.
Who's handling this? Do you know?
Well, Spaulding was handling it, and then they had some big conflict about it because he didn't believe that Travis could have been away 5 days. And now he says over the news that he definitely feels that they have patched up the ends and that there was through some of the tests that's been run on him. I guess it hasn't been anything but medical tests that evidently they believe him now, and they patched up differences and they're back together again.
Okay, well, who's going to handle this hypnosis?
I don't know whether it's...
So they were doing hypnosis, and he said even on the other witnesses as well, not just on Travis.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this case is they were trying to make this as legitimate as they could.
Yeah.
Not to say it wasn't legitimate, but they were doing everything that they could to prove that, this really happened. Travis Walton, his brother, and actually, he and his brother were the main pushers of truth. They were trying to do this. The other people involved didn't really want to be involved, if I remember correctly.
Right, exactly. I mean, they'll take the polygraph test just to clear themselves, but they didn't want anything to do with whatever happened afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, because rightly they knew that, hey, if I come out and say that this is real, no one's ever going to take me seriously ever again.
No. So this is saying here, no polygraph taken yet by Travis Walton. More discussions about picking up Mr. Walton from the phone booth and skepticism about the whole event. Friend of Travis Walton's brother talks about what's going on. But he's not one of the witnesses, though.
What, Walton? Yeah, no, Travis Walton's brother. I'm completely blanking on his name, but yeah, no, he was definitely involved.
I mean, he's the one that not found it, but he called him. That's who Travis called, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Expert polygraph examiner Cleve Baxter lectures on the use of the polygraph in UFO encounters. And here's Travis he did a presentation at the 2011 UFO Congress. But here, we can come back to that. I want to hear him tell his story to Rogan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I stopped it about that time when he discussed it. Yeah, let's hear it from him. I might have to make it quicker because he does speak slowly, but it's good for us to watch him and see how believable he is. If he's lying, it's right. We'll make our own conclusions after.
Yeah, let's go to listen.
Jumbled, like they were trying to send you a message, but it was jumbled.
Yeah, I was having trouble focusing my brain. I felt not fully awake, but this adrenaline was driving a very awakened feeling, but I wasn't thinking clearly at all.
But what makes you feel like they were trying to communicate with you or trying to calm you down?
That's just what I think about, years of meditating on what my impression was. At the time, it was total fear, total feeling of being threatened. And I think that's the reason this entity came in that looked human. Now,
how human?
Pretty human. You'd pass in a crowd,
like me, like a normal human.
Yeah, and I think that they come up with this. Now, they knew I wasn't going to trust them, and if they didn't get something or someone that I would trust, that I would die. So they enlisted the help of it could be that there are human-like species visiting. I believe there's quite a variety of species of aliens. Or perhaps they came up with some artificial human-looking creation that I would trust and take me out of the crowd.
How much time had passed between you lashing out, them trying to calm you down, and this human-like creature coming into the room?
I was just trying to find a way out, and he came in, and I assumed he was human.
How much time had passed?
Just minutes.
Minutes.
And when he wanted me to go with him,
what did he look like?
He looked like somebody I would trust, right?
Was he dressed? How was he dressed?
He's wearing a blue uniform, top and bottom.
A uniform, like
it looked like a uniform, but maybe it was just blue clothing, but there was no insignia, no flags or anything
like a hospital gown, like a surgeon's
outfit. It was more tight fitting. He was extremely strong looking.
So he looked like an athletic human being.
Yeah. And I was a pretty athletic person at the time, and maybe that's what it took in case I was combative with him.
Did he have hair?
Yes, kind of longish hair.
Like a hippie?
Probably a lot longer than mine, but
what color was his hair?
It was a light color. It wasn't blonde, but it was a real light brown.
So it could have passed for a human being.
He could walk through a crowd and nobody would raise an eyebrow. That's probably the intent. Now, whether it was synthetic or there's species out there that look like us, I don't know.
So what happens when you encounter this person?
He was in a hurry to get me out of there. When we exited this craft.
So what happened? Like you see him, and then what happens? Well,
I started screaming. I was still totally hysterical, asking questions, and I wasn't getting any answer.
What kind of questions?
Well, what am I doing here? What are these things? What happened here? Just one question after another, and he didn't seem inclined to answer. And he was wearing a clear helmet. Whether that had to do with the atmosphere in there or like a COVID type precautions or something.
I'm sure.
Who knows?
A fully clear helmet, like a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing's like a dome over his whole head.
Yeah. But he took me out of there. I was only too willing to go if he's going to take me out of there. And
he's talking to you?
No, nothing. And I kept asking questions.
But did he put his hands on you?
He took me by the arm.
So you felt him touch you, and then he moves you out of there.
Yeah. There's all kinds of theories.
You don't fight against him when he's touching you?
Yeah. People think, well, maybe they hypnotically made you believe that one of them looked like a human. But I think that's unlikely because the original problem was that energy had scrambled my brain. I wasn't in a kind of condition where that was going to work.
So how does he takes you by the arm, and what made you go with it? What made you not want to resist and fight him?
This was something familiar. My entire surroundings were threatening to me at the time. So he took me out of there.
Did he give you like a facial gesture? Did he like make any kind of like...
Actually, there was a bit of a smile, but totally uninclined to talk or say more than that. But the fact that we're moving quickly, I took that to be kind of reassuring in itself. And once we got outside, it was easier to breathe.
Outside the room?
Outside the craft.
So you exited the craft. How big is this craft that you're in? Is it the same size craft as the little
one?
As long
as this room.
So you're in the same vehicle.
No, bigger, but
you're in the same vehicle that you believe you saw when you got hit with the bolt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we go into this big room. May have been a larger craft somewhere, or maybe a base, an actual building on the ground or something.
So you exit the initial craft. How do you exit it?
Down this ramp. It was cooler outside too. Wasn't as humid. I was keenly anxious about where he was taking me. Went across this open area, just inside this room or building, whatever it was. And
Describe the building.
it was like a quarter of a cylinder on its side, just the part I can see. And these panels that were the source of light in the room had a very sunlight sort of look to it. So whether they were just translucent panels letting sunlight through, or whether they were somehow able to recreate that sunlight effect, I don't know. But I wasn't studying the environment so much. There was some other disc-shaped craft in that room, but I was extremely fearful about where he was taking me. And we went down through these doors, down this hallway, and he took me into a room where there were some other people like him. No helmets this time. So I was relieved by that, because I thought, well, finally somebody can hear me and answer my questions. And they weren't answering. And so I started to panic again, started to resist. But I was still very weak, feeling very injured. And they didn't have too much trouble forcing me down onto this table. One of them put this mask over my face, just like a gas mask looking thing. I didn't see it connected to any tubes or anything, but I know there was the mask in her hand. And
In her hand.
Yeah.
So it's females and males.
Looked like a human female, similar in coloring to him. But again, I think they were just trying to find something I wouldn't find terrifying. But as soon as that mask was over my face, I just blacked out. It wasn't painful or anything. It's just whether I fainted or the mask was that fast at anesthetic or whatever. I don't know.
And then what do you remember?
Woke up. Felt the cold coming into my clothes. I could tell I hadn't been in this cold place that long. Pavement was cold. There was a light shining from above. I looked up to see where the light was coming from, but as I turned to look, it went off. So I didn't look in time. And then I saw this silver metallic disc hovering there, and it just shot up into the sky. Now it didn't turn on its edge and go up. It was just parallel to the earth, and then shot up. Created a little stir in the air that I felt, moved the branches on that tree, which died recently. I've been keeping track of that. And then it was just out of sight really quick, because it wasn't giving off any light.
So you woke up in the woods, in the same area where you had been abducted?
Right, outside the town nearest where this happened. Why not take me to where I live? If they know so much about me, why not the Snowflake? Heber was the town nearest where this happened. But it was the perfect place for this kind of drop-off to occur and not be seen. It's got 3 real steep old canyons coming together in one place. And from that point.
Well, straight from his mouth. I mean, he's really believable. It's the same story. He's not like he didn't leave anything out. He's it looks like he's really remembering something when he's discussing it, when he looks over to the right.
Yeah.
So wow.
That's funny. I always thought he woke up in the phone booth.
Yeah, I guess he had to walk towards it, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, he said he woke up back in the woods, like in the same place that he was abducted from. That's funny. I seem to remember the story differently. But hearing it from him, hearing it from him, I guess I was wrong. I thought he woke up in the phone booth, but sounds like he did not.
Yeah, so I guess he walked over then. He had to walk over to the gas station.
Yeah.
What a weird experience.
It's such a cool story, because no matter what dipshit Philip Glass says, there's no you can't disprove what happened. I mean, they had people were looking for him. This was a missing person. I mean, they even had dogs sniffing around, and no one was able to locate him. He disappeared off of the planet for 5 days.
Yeah, and so it's very similar to the missing 911, right? When they go missing like that, the dogs couldn't find anything, no scent.
So cool.
Here in this one, it shows he has some diagrams.
Oh, nice.
Of the experience. 2011, God, so long ago.
It became.
Yeah, I know he especially with the Rogan interview, he came out and did a bunch of different. He came back into the public eye. And once again, people are trying to poke holes in the story, and there's no holes.
No, it's really difficult too. Of course, you're going to find them. The whole thing of him being interested in it and his brother, that's the only thing. But then again, you have those other witnesses, and you have other people other than those direct witnesses that saw. There was a hunter, I think, and someone else, but 2 other people saw that craft take off.
Well, and I think it was Philip Glass. He offered, I don't know what it was, $10,000 for one of them to come forward and say it was fake. And none of them did.
Interesting. Yeah, you'd think one of them, especially, and you'd think those guys, at least one of them would care what people thought about it and give interviews. I don't think any of them did any interviews.
His brother did. I know that.
His brother. But I mean, like the other guys. How many were
There's
there?
I think it was a documentary. There were a documentary on, I want to say Amazon, where they revisit this. I think it was about the same time that the Rogan interview came out.
Okay.
And they went over the whole case again. I mean, and there's nothing to say that this is fake.
Walton on the tables here. So he goes around. There's that chair in the middle of the craft. And then he goes out down the interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
So cool, man.
So cool. I mean, scary, but really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, I don't know if terrifying. Yes. Yeah. Terrifying. Could you imagine just going through these things?
Oh, I can. Yes, I can imagine, and I want it. I want it to happen to me.
All right, we have to go looking for it.
The chair in the middle had controls on it, and so my main interest was to try to find a way to open a door, and I was hoping that some of these buttons would open one of these doors. But most of them didn't seem to do anything. Nothing that I could detect, but moving the lever caused the star pattern to all shift at once. The stars stayed in the same pattern, but the whole thing moved, and I was already unsteady on my feet, and that really gave me vertigo. But so I was thinking of pushing another one of these buttons, and then something caught my attention from the door that I had come through. And I saw this man standing there. Now, from the door, looking over this guy's shoulder, you normally would not see the star pattern because you could really only see that from near the chair. At least that's what I was thinking, but it's possible that it just was activated by being near the chair. Anyway, I turned around, I saw him, and I thought, that right off, I thought it was somebody from NASA or Air Force or somebody to rescue me from this situation. And so I took him to be a human rescuer, and I run up to him and started babbling all these questions, and he wasn't responding. And I thought, well, maybe it's the helmet. He can't hear me or can't talk with that on. So I went with him, and he seemed to be in a hurry, and I was pretty weak and unsteady on my feet. But he took me out of this craft, and at this point, it was parked inside of this large room, a hangar-like room, because there were these glowing panels that curved from one wall up into the ceiling. So it's shaped kind of like a quarter of a cylinder. But the biggest relief was getting outside of this thing. The air was fresher and easier to breathe. And I tried to look around, but he seemed to be in a hurry and was pulling me along. And I really had to think about my walking because I was still hurting a lot and unsteady on my feet. But there were other craft in there, at least 2 I know for sure, that were disc-shaped, but shinier and more rounded. So I don't know whether this was a building or part of a larger craft, or how long the craft that I was in had been inside of this area. But he hurried me out of this big room, down a hallway to a room where he left me with some people who were dressed like him. And it was just a sort of a blue coverall that without any kind of insignia, no flags or rank rank markings or anything like that. But the fact that these other people didn't have any helmets on made me think that, well, maybe finally somebody can answer my questions.
I wonder why the other guy had a helmet and the other two didn't. Probably because entering those crafts has a different air. Because he did say it was more muggy inside the crafts.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a case of, it's like something I bring it up every single episode, but you're half the phenomena, right? When you get abducted.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, the aliens decided that this was the best way to handle this, right?
They're probably reading his mind. Like, oh, he's already comfortable with a human. Oh, he probably doesn't want to see them wearing a helmet to be more comfortable.
Right. And I can only imagine someone getting abducted. They've got a lot of questions about the universe and God and all that stuff. So why not, create? He talked about it in the Joe Rogan interview. Put something there that looks human but can't speak and answer questions. You know what I mean?
Didn't say a word to him, but that's what made him even more panicky, that no one's answering the questions.
But I mean, it makes sense in that case. You know what I mean? Like you want someone that can calm the person down,
absolutely, yeah,
but not give away any information.
It's so funny how they ran out and just grabbed the humans, or turned on the human hologram machine.
Yeah. It's
it's
not that crazy to me.
No, not at all. Especially if they're that advanced. I mean, they better have that. Psyops are way more effective than violence.
Yeah, exactly.
The part because I was so in total panic and successfully.
This is how they looked. I mean, totally. Those are, those look like humans.
Yeah. It's something that you would see in a crowd, but wouldn't freak out about.
Right, exactly. They just look Swedish. I mean, and it's always about the blue, tight-fitting outfits.
Uh-huh.
What else does he have here? Is he showing? I saw something else. What was this? Was that his test? There it is, that one. He's on an Alienware computer.
Fantastic.
There's a picture in my book of this core sample from one of the trees.
Oh.
When we went out there to do this TV show for Paramount, I think it was Inside Edition or hard copy, one of those. Went out there in the middle of the winter. It was 3 feet of snow, but they rented these big snow cats so we could get there anyway. And so when we finally found the spot, I thought the difficulty in finding the spot was because the snow was so deep. But later on, I found out that Mike had gone back and checked it out, and he'd found that it was because the trees had grown so rapidly right next to where the craft had come down. This picture here is a core sample out of one of those, and you can count the rings backward, which he's marked with a pen there. Back to the time of the incident, the tree rings are all of a uniform size, but very much thicker. This tree was like 85 years old in the winter of 75, November, when it happened. And then here, only 15 or so years later, the tree had doubled in size. And so, they did some calculations and figured out that these trees were producing wood fiber at 36 times the rate they had been in the previous nearly 100 years.
That is interesting. So see what he concludes with.
That was kind of disturbing. Somebody from military intelligence, seems to be having some sort of interaction with the people out to discredit the case. And so that there's some sort of covert government activity in regards to this increases all the time. haven't had too much contact with Mike Rogers, the crew boss, in recent years. We're kind of on the outs, but I talked to him a while back, and he told me that there's been some federal agents harassing him in a variety of ways that he's promised to fill me in on, but he says it's still going on. They're still doing it, which I think is kind of funny. Is why are they bothering him so much when maybe I haven't seen anything? I've had some problems that I wouldn't attribute it to anybody in particular, just problems with my book.
Well, I mean, it's not like he hasn't had it easy. I mean, that's something that needs to be mentioned. It's not like it's not like he wanted all this fame and money and
Yeah, I mean, this essentially ruined his life. A lot of people like to think that when people come out and say, they got abducted or they saw a UFO, that they become famous and yada yada yada. But that's not even remotely the case.
No.
It ruins your life. It ruins
Yep.
everyone's life around you too. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah. But we're glad that he came out, right? And we're glad that he's done interviews and written books about this, and that there's been so many investigations and lots of evidence. Well,
Yeah.
not hard evidence, but still, I mean, there's lots of circumstantial evidence.
But I mean, it's
one of the
one
most
of
fascinating cases.
that's it's one of the things with UFO abductions and seeing UFOs. There's never any hard evidence. It's designed that way,
Yeah. Well, so what's the verdict on this? I would say 98% real.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's real. Once you look at all the evidence and everything that happened to him during those 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, the cops thought he was murdered.
I know. Yeah, they weren't even
mean,
believing this. That's what they were all shocked when he came back. Like 5 days? How?
right.
They thought he was gone. That's it.
The problem is, and just like with every UFO case, just like I just said, there's no proof of what happened to him during those 5 days he was gone.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the people that were in the logging group, they all passed polygraph tests, but as you said, polygraph isn't admissible in court.
Right.
I do believe him, but I also think there's a lot more to this story. I don't think he saw humans on the ship, as a lot of people like to try and say, even him. I don't think they were human at all, but I think that
I've gone down this rabbit hole about these time traveling humans. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I just think
it
that
explains a lot. It explains the moon. It explains what we see on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think he saw a lot of things that he didn't understand, and his brain came up with solutions to the problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could be. And
but yeah, no, I all in all, I do believe him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. You can just tell. You can tell with his demeanor. You can tell the way he speaks and the way he tries to remember. I mean, he doesn't give me, my spidey senses don't go off with him.
Right. And I like Fire in the Sky. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I think about 75% of it is representative of what happened. That last 25%, not so much.
Exactly. Enough of it has been done right in that movie.
Right.
So
we're getting into today's stuff, not 1975 day stuff.
Yeah, and here we go. We still have whistleblowers coming out with no hard evidence.
Yeah, I mean, this is the big story about the whistleblower coming out, right?
Yep, exactly. And calling it immaculate. He said, and just saying that gets you on a FISA list to be spied on by the government. Yep. Immaculate constellation, which it seems like a play on both Majestic and Zodiac because Majestic was the name that it first came out with, and then apparently Zodiac was the new name. So now this Immaculate Constellation is putting those two together.
Yeah, it's a very interesting name that they chose.
Yeah, and it's by Michael Schellenberger. He's come out before with UFO bombshells, I guess you would call it. And he's saying that this guy came out and it is a this program started in 2017. So it's not the MJ-12 one.
Right. But I mean, 2017 is when that info was released about the Pentagon had a secret space program. Right?
Is that the internet? Or is that that was me that was cutting up. All right, it's back. Sorry, I lost you. You were saying something, and then I thought you were being cut.
2017 was like when the big news broke about UFOs in the Pentagon and how the Pentagon.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so this is right around that time.
So the gang is saying the Gang of Eight don't know about it. Talking about the National Security Act. There is it on here? There's no evidence there. That's Arrow. You sent me. Oh wait, here it is. You sent me this one. This one has the meat of it because he has a paywall.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. Wait, one of the individuals. Oh no, this one talks about some event.
Photograph of UAP Mosul orb over Iraq released by Arrow. Excuse me. On.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Arrow in 2023. The new UAP whistleblower claims that the U.S. military and IC database includes videos and images taken using, in quotes, infrared, forward-looking infrared, full motion video, and still photography. The government whistleblower made their claims to a report provided to authorized committees of Congress and their staff. The whistleblower alleges that the DoD created the USAP called Immaculate Constellation in 2017 after the New York Times published an article describing an informal UAP program called Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP. Yeah, right. Okay, 2017.
Yeah.
The report shared with Congress says Immaculate Constellation serves as a central or parent USAP that consolidates observations by UAPs and by both tasked and untasked collection platforms.
So this was a parent project.
Uh-huh.
So like MJ, so Majestic, basically.
Yeah, exactly. This is the overlord.
Yes, they oversee them all.
Yeah. The whistleblower's report includes 7 categories of evidence. It describes and details various UAP sightings collected by technical assets and U.S. military personnel. The multitude, this is in quotes, the multitude of wavelengths collected by these sensors have captured UAP characteristics that are difficult or impossible to observe with the human eye alone. Subtle atmosphere effects.
Wow.
Subtle atmospheric effects associated with UAPs are also visible through the sensors employed by U.S. military and intelligence agencies. Yeah. The veritable chain of custody for UAP quality imagery intelligence collected by the U.S. military assets, the person wrote, ensures a high level of confidence in the accuracy and integrity of the data gathered. The report concludes that the existence of Immaculate Constellation demonstrates the extant capability to detect, quarantine, and transfer UAP and ARV collection before they are observed and circulated within military intelligence enterprise, thus serving as a means of enforcing internal information security. A former IC official confirmed to the public existence of Immaculate Constellation that the program was run out of SecDef. The person said they don't want to acknowledge it's real. The same person warned that simply printing the name Immaculate Constellation could trigger government surveillance under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Oh, God.
Damn it.
They got us.
Damn it.
They got us.
Well,
They
it was
won't
about to
comment
start
on it.
sometime.
They won't comment on it, but talking about it will put you in the danger zone. They enforce the secrecy with a lot of vigor.
Obviously, we know that.
Yeah, we know that. Do I have to keep reading this, or does that kind of sum
I
it
can
up?
continue. I think because there's one about F-22. The whistleblower report said that a significant volume of intelligence reports documenting firsthand encounters with UAPs or UFOs by DoD personnel exists within Defense Human Intelligence databases accessible to the intelligence community. Immaculate Constellation, quote, includes high-quality imagery, intelligence, IMINT, and measurement and signature intelligence, MASINT, of UAPs, the whistleblower's report adds. The source of this intelligence are a blend of directed and incidental collection capabilities positioned in low Earth orbit, the upper atmosphere, as well as military and civilian aviation altitudes and maritime environments. So where's that F-22 on? Here it is. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its parole area. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs, according to the report.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. The F-22 is one of the highest capable military craft that the Air Force has.
And they brought him out of his patrol area and then boxed him in.
Yeah, that's nuts.
One UAP maneuvered in proximity more than 12 meters to the area directly starboard of the cockpit. There, the UAP established a rigid spatial relationship with the F-22, maintaining its exact position and orientation parallel to the cockpit, despite multiple evasive rolls and maneuvers. Surrounded by the presumed hostile UAPs, the F-22 was forced out of the mission area under the escort of the UAP formation.
I cannot imagine being that poor pilot. Being like,
wow. You must think it's some tests, US tests.
Right.
Just to stay sane. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude to 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN aircraft carrier. Holy crap, man! This is getting hectic.
Yeah,
and wars going on, like almost World War III in Ukraine and Israel, and now and this is coming out at that time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, well, if we're going by Project Bluebeam narrative, this is the perfect time to announce aliens and God and Jesus and Allah and
Totally. Did you watch the Y-Files?
Yes,
movie?
I did.
The second one. It was so good.
It was very good.
I haven't watched it in a while. I was cracking up so hard, man. What a great show.
Oh no, Edge is the best, but he doesn't look well. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, he looks stressed. I mean, he must be getting really good revenue, but they must really overwork him.
Yeah, seems like that.
Well, here's Schellenberger with Coulthard. I think I stopped it at the part about the F-22s. Let's hear it from him.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty, some of the detail that you do reveal in your report. And there is, as you've already acknowledged a little bit earlier, an absolutely incredible incident involving an F-22 Raptor, which is the top frontline fighter jet in the United States military arsenal. And it describes orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of a patrol area. The F-22 broke trajectory and attempted to evade, but was intercepted and boxed in by approximately 3 to 6 UAPs. Now, the thing about that, Michael, is I often cop it from some viewers who are very much of the rosy view about non-human intelligence, that they're all benevolent and kind. What you seem to be describing here is something where, at the very least, a UAP or a group of UAPs are essentially trying to behave like an adversary. They're boxing in a fighter jet. What's going on? What does the whistleblower think about that finding? And what conclusion did you reach on the basis of the evidence that you read in the report?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, I mean, so again, I want to stress, I'm new to this. I have, beginner mind on this issue. I mean, I'm not by any means an expert on it or a military expert. So with those caveats out of the way, I mean, the first most obvious thing you're struck by with that particular case is that this technology or form of life or whatever it is, adversary, is demonstrating dominance. I mean, just the most simple basic thing is that there's somebody in if there's an interaction, it can be cooperative or among equals, or it can be hierarchical, and there's dominance by a greater power. And in this case, that those craft or phenomena or whatever are demonstrating dominance, and that does have to do with that TikTok incident that the Navy pilots describe. I mean, I think you could argue that it wasn't not necessarily, we don't know if it's, say, hostile. In other words, nobody was shot down and there's no evidence that anybody was harmed. But dominance is about power and about a demonstration of capabilities. And so clearly, in that case, and there are other cases in that report, which again I hope is made public. These are phenomena showing dominance. It's not showing, benevolent space brotherhood.
It does seem like a war is happening. I mean, they could invade if they wanted to, and it's the perfect time, right? We're basically an electric civilization with surveillance everywhere, with everything connected. So if a more advanced species would invade, it would be a perfect time. We already built the infrastructure for them.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was the point. We've talked about that before also, like the gifting and all that is
Right.
to steer us this way, because they know that's how we would behave, but that we would weaponize the technology,
which we're already doing. I mean,
right. Yeah.
You look at the spine of people on this planet.
It's nuts. Did you see that one report about the Meta glasses, the ones that record the video while it's on? You can walk by someone apparently, and it can take their face and it let you know their address immediately.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but I mean, this is what I remember seeing ads for the Google Glass, like 10 years ago. I mean, this is the only, outcome that it would have been.
Yeah, exactly. What else are you going to use it for? Not just to record, but then, they should have, there's no light on it. It doesn't tell you it's being recorded. I know someone that has one, and you don't know if they're recording or not. So imagine having like an intimate conversation.
I don't even want to think about it, because it's going to be, right now, well, not right now. 10 years ago it was Google Glass. Now it's probably, for the CIA anyway, it's probably Google contact lens.
Yeah. Oh my! I'm sure that's going to come out soon, because the new Meta glasses, they use some like holographic technology. It's not even a screen. It projects holographs where everything looks 3D. Anyway, it's supposed to be amazing.
Oh God.
I know. It's nuts where everything is going.
Yeah.
So there's that. They do. I mean, if it's US technology, then they're just showing off to our own troops about it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Pentagon denies reports claiming to reveal name of top secret UFO program for the first time.
How does anyone trust the government at this point?
Well, the mainstream media does, and they'll print these, and everyone will be like, "Oh, yeah, I knew it. It's fake." Right? The whistleblower has named an active and highly secretive unacknowledged special access program, USAP, being illegal withheld from U.S. Congress. There it is. I guess the New York Post is going to be spied on now. This was news everywhere, huh?
The New York Times, was it New York Post, New York Times? Which one was it?
Post.
I mean, they're already controlled by the government. It doesn't matter if it's the Times or the Post.
Right, exactly. Sean Kirkpatrick, former director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Office, Resolution Office, ARROW, told the NY Post, Stephen Greenstreet, Greenstreet, all right, there's no such thing. I had access to all of the unacknowledged SAPs and reviewed them with the SAPCO director.
Very interesting. I mean, this was, the knowledge of this UFO group was pulled from a what's it called? When the press can ask government stuff. What's it called?
Oh, press briefing or
No.
when
Where
they
the
can ask
government has to
questions?
tell the truth. What the hell is it called?
Oh, transparency.
No, God damn it!
When they have to tell the truth. Wait.
Like,
FOIA.
Even what FOIA? Yeah, this was
Yeah, okay.
from a FOIA request. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Now you could do a FOIA because you can use that name.
yeah.
Although it's unacknowledged.
Well, it's weird that this came out through because this did come out through FOIA. I mean,
Oh,
it was
no.
whistleblower.
Yeah, it's a whistleblower. This guy, and he said he found it by accident. I don't think they're faking it. Wait, where is it? In her statement, Miss Go, of course, she said no. Hey, where did it go? Anyway, he's this guy. But how do you find it by accident? He must be like a really close aide of the Secretary of Defense. This person discovered the material accidentally. This was not something they had expected to encounter. Of course, Miss Go said, no laws have been broken. No evidence. Blah blah blah.
Oh boy!
But this is good coverage. It got really good coverage.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a program. Of course, there's a program because they do say it's real. Why wouldn't there be a program?
Right. Well, it's just, again, it's one of those things where, hey, the government's been lying to us. Yoo-hoo, we all knew that.
Right. I mean, it's just so nuts that they're lying. That they're lying about aliens.
Yeah.
At least, fine, lie about the technology. We've said it millions of times. Why lying about because aliens or not or whatever they are, even if they're future humans? I don't, just what is it? Like, tell us.
Lying benefits them. That's it. That's the end all be all.
Right, and probably because they want to be the only ones studying it. Because if they're the only ones studying it, then but we know that's not true. But if they're the only ones studying it, then they're the only ones advancing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, China and Russia are definitely doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And here's Matt Gaetz on the Benny Show talking about the CIA crash retrieval program. I know, and he's a pretty big deal in Congress.
What about UFOs? Well, we're learning more each and every day. You're getting the titrated leaking on the UFOs. Like, it's now open source information that the CIA has a program around craft recovery. It's not a question anymore. And so that's probably where I would start: the craft recovery and the biologics that have been taken from those crafts.
Are people going to be ready for that?
I think you got to let it out there. You don't inure to the benefit of the citizenry by keeping those kind of secrets from them. And look,
what about UFOs?
He's right. Yeah, he's right. It doesn't benefit. It benefits the powerful or those who are keeping the secret. I did also. Did I get cut again?
No. I thought I was
Oh.
muted. I went to unmute and then I muted myself.
No.
I was just agreeing with you. That's all.
Okay. Well, here's Elizondo in this clip also saying, and it just shows like they don't want to give this stuff up.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
So this is that latest interview on alchemy, or what is it called? American Alchemy with Jesse Michaels.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So I guess they get him to answer this because they're saying, should this be for everyone?
Use technology to their advantage. So countries will use technology if they feel that they have to in a time of conflict. The world is on fire. Doesn't matter what side of the argument you're on. I think we can all agree that the world is a very dangerous and violent place right now, right? This technology has the chance to either bring us together or completely rip us apart once and for all, right? Like there's no coming back. How do you solve that problem? Who's going to take the moral high road and say, I give to you this technology and you shall use it for peaceful means? Who is that? The United Nations?
I think it's
is it Is it society writ large?
It's like the three-body problem. They know we're going to blow ourselves up, so they clamp down on the science, and they're responsible for a lot of the productive science.
Would
in the past.
humanity be okay with an overlord, an NHI babysitter?
Mm-hmm.
Is that freedom? Are you really free then if an NHI were to come down and say, okay, folks, this is a reality. Ha ha ha. We've been kind of playing with you a little bit, but here's reality. You're all going to play well with each other. You're all going to be able to enjoy this free energy and whatnot. But you're going to play by our rules. Now what happens? Now what happens to free will?
Yeah, see, and this is the fight we're seeing that's happening within whoever these overlords are. They are going to come. I think, at some point, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, are they going to be greeted or not? I think Lou is part of the faction where he's a humanist and he wants human potential to be out of there, because this goes back to Fort, right? Charles Fort and even Valet that say we're in a control system, that we are owned and stuff like that. And technology has something to do with that. That raises us up to them. This is why nukes are so watched by these beings, and it kind of brought us up to them or gave us something to protect ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So Lou is right there, about the NHI. Like, what do you want them to be in control? So I guess it's one tyranny versus another tyranny. Do we want tyranny under the NHI or a tyranny under, our human elite, which is like the WEF? And it's a tough decision, really, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go ahead and read for all of our listeners out there. Go ahead and read the Three Body Problem. The trilogy of books. They're so good. But I mean, it's basically what this is about. I mean, so the whole point of the books are there's a civilization coming to conquer us, but we have 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
And how that changes human structure. Like, what do you do when something is going to kill you in 400 years? Humans only live to 70, 80 years, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so you have to plan for the future without knowing with knowing that you're not going to see the future.
Right. So
it's a very bizarre situation to be in.
Yeah. And it's going to steer civilization, right? I mean, because then that becomes the number one goal, is to protect ourselves,
right,
and to survive it. But they're the same way but then in that book, aren't they also steering us in a way where
they
we
are
can't protect ourselves, right?
Yeah,
Something
they're they're controlling our science. Like, they don't let us do certain things when it comes to physics, because
that looks really familiar.
Yeah. I mean, they're oh man, I can't recommend them enough. The Three Body Problem. It's just such a great series of books.
Agreed. I mean, I didn't know they made they made 2 different series. One that's on Netflix, or was it Amazon? And then
you're right. There's 2. One's on Netflix. That's the American version. I really enjoyed the show. I have no idea if it's going to continue. Then also you can find the Chinese version on Amazon, and that one is a lot more faithful to the books. They're both good in different ways.
Yeah.
But obviously, and in every form of media, the books are always going to be superior.
Agreed. So the Netflix one will definitely continue, right? Because it was a huge hit.
Was it? I hope it was. I really enjoyed the Netflix Netflix version. Obviously, because it's a TV show, they combine certain characters and they combine certain plot points together to make it more watchable. But it was really good.
He's a cool clip from Dr. Travis Taylor to discuss
good.
how cow blood could be used to enable faster travel than the speed of light.
Now that's a wild claim. Let's listen to this.
Okay.
Divine travel, or create a warp drive or a wormhole or something to allow you to go vast distances through space that a UFO would have to do. They'd have to have a material that would allow you to actually change how electricity, magnetism, and gravity work in that local area of space around the spaceship, or maybe in the hull of the spaceship. And mathematically and scientifically, we only understand it theoretically. We haven't ever been able to build one, but we call it a topological insulator. Or that would be made of a thing called a metamaterial. It's a brand new science. People are just learning that we can build a special material that would allow us to go faster than the speed of light. Well, the problem is we have only been able to create little bitty pieces of it in the lab at super, super, super cold temperatures. But recently, a scientist who won a Nobel Prize in laser optics was looking for room temperature topological insulators, and he found one. And it's in a compound called bovine serum albumin. Now, what I just said was cow blood.
What?
So, what if these aliens are using somehow the cow blood to make their engines go work right? I don't know. I mean, this is a speculation.
Oh
but those are some
my.
interesting pieces of data and facts that we can put together to make tell a really interesting story. So it's a great question from an 8-year-old. Really.
That is nuts. It makes all like the sacrifices all like come together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They can do that with cow blood. What are they doing with children blood?
Yeah, exactly. It's probably better.
This is why the things, I hate to say it, but the conspiracy theories about adrenochrome, it makes them all that more realistic.
I know. And then why these cattle mutilations are happening.
Right.
Elon Musk did some really cool things today. Did you see SpaceX? They landed on that robotic arm of theirs.
Yeah.
It's so cool, man. Yeah, I think we have that queued up. But he's doing amazing things in space. So he tells Tucker Carlson UFOs seen by U.S. military pilots are top secret classified weapons programs.
Oh, God.
Yes.
We need more
Yeah,
of
I know.
those.
Thanks, Elon.
Where are the aliens? Like, why don't we see them? A lot of people think we see aliens, but I've not seen any evidence of aliens. We've got 6,000 satellites in orbit, and not once have we had to maneuver around an alien spacecraft.
Right. But on this Earth, the U.S. military has had to do a lot of maneuvering around objects they can't explain.
Well, unidentified flying objects is one thing, but there's always a bunch of classified programs that are underway of new aircraft and new missiles and things. So that are classified even within the military. So it's only if you have the top secret compartmented clearance, would you know about this new program? So then some pilot sees something moving fast and says, "Hey, I saw a UFO." I'm like, "Yeah, that was actually a new weapons program, but we can't tell you that." If you can guarantee that the split second I see any evidence of aliens, I will immediately post that on the X platform.
Yeah, right.
And it'll probably be our #1 post of all time.
That'll be your biggest day.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a military contractor. He's got classification. He's got clearance. I mean, pretty high clearance, obviously. Yeah, he's not allowed to talk about that stuff or even record it. There's no way. They don't even remember that time we showed a clip of him saying the bureaucracy wanted him to like attach headphones to a seal.
Yeah.
So come on. They can let him like record whatever he wants in space or use the sensors that would capture those things. So
Elon Musk, probably the most successful African American in this country.
And he's a right winger.
Yeah. But he also does want to put chips in people's brains. I mean,
he does.
He's not all good. He's not all bad. He's a mixed bag.
Definitely a mixed bag. I mean, his AI is much better than the other AIs out there. He doesn't want a woke one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, putting chips, it comes from a good place, but does it? I mean, it could end up with like the enslavement of mankind if it becomes something that you have to do, and would add to this tyrannical system that they keep pushing us into. And then, then maybe when we enter it, then they say, oh, we have these technologies, but, we have a kill switch here if you try to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, he just had that presentation where, he had the robots out and walking around.
Oh, yeah. We have a clip in that one.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you've got that queued up somewhere.
So yeah, he's doing that also. So this and blanketing the skies with all those satellites. It's cool that you have Starlink everywhere, but it's just thousands and thousands of satellites up there. Astronomers
There's just
complaining.
so much stuff that can go wrong and be taken over. I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. With a switch of a button like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know if he knows he's doing this or doesn't know.
Man, I am so sick of seeing this headline because it is for the last 6 months. I've been seeing this over and over again. Huge alien announcement could happen within weeks. As Professor says, we found it. I mean, this story has been coming. Sorry, it's on the precipice of coming out for the last 6 months. It's wild.
Yeah, and this is that one that's Simon Holland, who's got the crazy hair on YouTube. That guy with the heavy British accent. Yeah, so it's him. We've covered this before, but apparently now 2 rival groups of astronomers are in a race to publish the first confirmed evidence of an extraterrestrial civilization. But when are they going to do it? I think this article says China might do it before us.
Yeah, I could see that. The way global politics are going, it would not surprise me one bit.
So he told the Mirror, "We have found a non-human extraterrestrial intelligence in our galaxy, and people don't know about it." Simon explains that he has been given information by a contact within Mark Zuckerberg's Breakthrough Listen, a privately funded initiative aimed at finding evidence of civilizations beyond Earth. And the news may come within the next month to coincide with the U.S. election, he believes. He claims that astronomers within the Oxford-based project have identified clear evidence of transmissions from another world.
Yeah, why not attach it to politics? I think we covered it last week that the James Webb telescope, they think they found that planet with artificial lights on it, which means there's life.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, so it's along that line. This one, I think it's about. So is this a radio, or is this what they found in the atmosphere, the life that they found in the atmosphere kind of thing? Okay, so this is a Chinese one. So this is breaking news as of yesterday, but the Chinese might be pipping them to the post with their FAST, which is 500-meter aperture spherical telescope program. It's the largest telescope in the world since Arecibo. The coordinates of the target object, which is known as BLC-1, are supposedly known to the Chinese, and the 2 teams are competing to become the first to make the hugely prestigious announcement.
Wow.
So, so it's techno signatures. So it's that this world is using technology.
Yeah, very interesting.
It's a single point source. The signal, instead of being the giant buzz of everything in the universe that we hear through all radio telescope, was a narrow electromagnetic spectrum.
All
right. It's welcome. If it's really Oxford and then the Chinese team, if it's, that'll be. It would be wonderful if it coincides with the first woman in the White House. He jokes.
LGM, Little Green Men.
All right.
Love it.
And it brought this one. No, we don't have to play it. But there was a clip from last year. No, sorry, 5 months ago. With the scientists that actually found the techno signature.
So last year, we had some JWST observations with the James Webb Space Telescope of this planet, its atmosphere, and we detected for the first time ever carbon-bearing molecules like methane and CO2 in its atmosphere, and did not detect other molecules like ammonia, which said that it's likely to have an ocean underneath the atmosphere. But we also saw a tentative sign of this molecule dimethyl sulfide, which we weren't sure. But still, even the very possibility of it being there is enormous.
So this is dimethyl sulfide.
Yeah,
that's the important gas. And why is that gas so important?
It's important because on Earth, it is produced only from life, mainly from microorganisms in the Earth's oceans, and it has been known to be a robust biomarker if detected in planetary environments, and it had been predicted to be so, and we had been looking for it, and that's why it's super important.
How much of it is there? Can you tell?
So we are not 100% sure yet. It could be anywhere of the order of a part per million. So
is that a lot?
But it's a lot for that particular gas. On Earth, it would be like significantly lower than that.
Oh, really? So we actually have lower amounts of dimethyl sulfide on Earth than could be present on this particular planet. Wow.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. And what I love is your description, as I've read it, Professor, in one of the newspapers today, of when you found this, when you realized that this gas might be present there. So talk us through that.
No, it's a profound activity, this search for biomarkers elsewhere, because the ramifications to society are enormous. So even if we detect the molecule, we have to be really, really sure that it's there, and we have to be really sure it's from life on another planet. There are many false positives that can happen. But the prospect of that being there has enormous ramifications, because the search for life elsewhere has been one of the longest standing quest of our species, of humankind. So if this is when it's going to come true finally, that's a momentous occasion, and we don't take it lightly.
So I read...
What's his name? Professor Nico Madhusudan. So would it be named after this?
I honestly, you cut off the Professor what?
Madhusudan.
Okay.
Yeah, so interesting. I wonder if they named the planet after him, if it's real life.
I mean, this is crazy stuff. I'm loving that we as a human species are finding this.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
And of course,
transparency.
Yeah, and that's what we're dealing with. So we're getting all this information from other sources, but the government just won't say anything about it, or if it does, it'll say it has no evidence. So that's what this article is about: is how the Pentagon's selective transparency. So basically, because the DoD's North American Aerospace Defense Command released a 15-second video showing a Russian Su-35 fighter jet buzzing U.S. military aircraft off the coast of Alaska. And last March, 2 days after a Russian Su-27 fighter jet dumped fuel on an MQ-9 Reaper drone, the Pentagon's European Command published a 42-second full-color video of the incident. However, these releases are often framed as necessary disclosures to inform the public about pressing national security concerns. However, when the topic conversation switches to UAPs, the DoD's willingness to be transparent shifts dramatically. Suddenly, visual evidence becomes a tightly held secret, locked behind layers of classification and bureaucratic stonewalling.
Wow.
Yeah. So the selective transparency of the DoD readily displaying evidence of military incidents involving Russia and China, yet fiercely guarding all visual evidence of UAP should raise questions for every American. Isn't that nice? It kind of like shows that they take it so seriously. We're not even allowed to see pictures.
I mean, it's so frustrating because, all these years they've told us that, hey, if you believe in UFOs, if you've seen an alien, you're crazy. You're totally crazy. And then, behind our backs, they're taking this, obviously very seriously.
Yeah. And so this brings us to a fundamental question. What is the government hiding?
What aren't they hiding?
Yeah, just come out with it and laugh at us. Say, I see the balloon.
Yeah.
Or, I see it's seagulls, or it's Venus.
Seagulls.
Here's a great find by Richard Geldrick about, there was hearings. There were UFO congressional hearings in the 60s. And Carl Sagan was part of that, including NORAD. So these were actually really good hearings. I would love to go back and just listen to the entire thing. But something really important came out of there. This is in 1968. Carl Sagan says, apparently what is now happening is that the Air Force surveillance radar is throwing away the data that is of relevance for this UFO inquiry. In other words, if it sees something that is not a ballistic trajectory or not in orbit, it ignores it. It throws it in the garbage. And the NORAD guy said they didn't track UFOs. However, this was just a sleight of hand. They did track UCTs or uncorrelated targets. These are objects supposedly ignored because their speeds or trajectories filtered them out.
Wow.
So the sensors are filtering these things out.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah, but for sure, the contractors that make these things don't have filters. But they give us filters. They give our guys filters, though.
Every time. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So where is that goes? It has been when they were developed, necessarily had to have programmed into them certain speed limits, both lower and upper, certain safe requirements. Like if the target was on an outbound path, it could be ignored. In almost every monitoring system you set up, whether for defense or scientific purposes, if you don't want to be snowed with data, you intentionally built selectivity in, and then you do not see what you're not looking for. So that makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, it certainly does.
And then if you remember when we shot down those balloons, it was because they changed the sensitivity of the NORAD satellites and they started seeing these things.
Oh, it's just all so frustrating, you know?
Yeah, and that's why the data is sitting somewhere, which is probably like Immaculate Constellation, and they're looking at sensors with no filters or different type of filters. But we don't get to see all that.
No, of course not. We're too stupid. Our government decides what's best for us.
Yeah. You sent this to me.
NASA astronaut claims aliens, in quotes, prevented nuclear war between U.S. and Russia. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon, has claimed that aliens attempted to prevent nuclear war between the U.S. and Russia by deactivating nukes.
Oh, so that's what he thinks those were.
Very interesting.
Because, yeah, I mean, we do have reports and proof that nuclear sites were visited by craft, and then the missiles were shut down and turned on at some points.
Yeah.
So he's saying that happened to prevent nuclear war?
Yeah. I mean, this brings up the whole Bay of Pigs incident. Kennedy was in power then. And, according to some sources, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was the one Russian sub. Was he was a commander of the sub, maybe? I'm probably misremembering the story, but he was told to launch the nukes that they had on the sub, and he refused.
Oh God!
Preventing World War III. It's a cool story. Who knows if it's true or not?
Probably. I mean, especially when it was the height. When was it? Was that in the 60s or 70s?
60s, yeah.
60s. So yeah, I mean that was the height of the Cold War. He said, "This is Mitchell speaking. I've spoken to many Air Force officers who worked at these silos during the Cold War." He continued, "They told me UFOs were frequently seen overhead and often disabled their missiles. Other officers from bases on the Pacific coast told me their test missiles were frequently shot down by alien spacecraft. There was a lot of activity in those days." Yeah, and because we were testing nukes still, and we were testing them in space in the 60s.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy now.
I know. Well, I mean, the Star Wars program, it's not that far, long ago. It's not that far-fetched.
80s, yeah. They're selling some of those crystals that they used on those lasers, on those crafts.
Nice.
They're amazing. Yeah. Crazy to see how advanced we were in the 80s also when you look at these crystals. So there's Edgar Mitchell. The Eric Davis leak came from his files, by the way. So he was very interested in this, was very connected with the government.
Fantastic.
What else do we have? Oh, remember this? Oh, this is. What'd you think of this one? Did you listen to it? The Matrix. He crosses like two laser beams, and he says you can see code. Everyone can see code.
No, I didn't watch this actually.
Yeah, you'll like this. I don't know if this guy's lying, but he tested this on a bunch of other people.
All right, cool. Oh, I started to, and then because I was at work, so I didn't finish it.
Okay.
From a very young age. When I was a little kid, I actually spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandfather was a nuclear physicist. I remember he was telling me about black holes. And that terrified me.
I was like, that's just mind-boggling. It's a monster, right?
But at the same time, it fascinated me. And I said to myself, how do we know that? This unthinkably massive thing. I realized that nature doesn't keep you can understand. What tools can we use to expand our knowledge? And for me, dimethyltryptamine, also known as DMT, was the tool that led me to the discovery.
When I first saw the phenomenon, I was like, holy shit.
But then it was actually like, whoa, what is happening?
Am I losing my mind? But then I showed other people, and things kept getting weirder. Just for the record, I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
Wow, what the fuck? Holy shit. I just saw something. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, I see that. I feel it.
I've been under the influence of mind-altering substances a lot, but I've never seen anything like that. Whoa.
I showed over 100 people, and I kept asking myself, how are all of us seeing the same thing?
Oh my God. It changing shapes right there.
The laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
They're almost like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like programming code.
It's definitely saying something, and I just want to take a picture of it and translate it.
Wow.
You see that?
Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No.
It's not because of the light.
No, it's on its own side. Light is just literally revealing it.
And each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it. I could see through the wall. It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence. I don't know. Whoa.
For centuries, mankind has attempted to explore these psychedelic, altered states, but we've never had a repeatable, testable phenomenon to observe until now.
Wow. I'm obsessed. It's like you can see through the laser into another dimension.
I mean, like, take yourself to that. Like, I just made a connection that nobody made before, which is a simple connection. The claim is, if you project a diffracted laser on the surface and you smoke DMT, you will see code running in surfaces. Yes, like in the Matrix.
So there are a few possibilities. One,
I lost my mind, which is the coolest losing your mind ever in history.
The second option is that
this is the biggest discovery of humankind. If anybody ever asked themselves what it would be like to know you live in the Matrix for sure, well, I know for sure. I'm convinced.
So where do we go from here? All I know is
it's about to get crazy.
No wonder why we're in the apocalypse. I mean, if we're figuring out that we're in a matrix and proving it.
Very, very interesting.
Except for the fact you have to take DMT too, right?
So
isn't that kind of weird?
I was just about to say that. One, I don't know if I trust this based on you do have to
Right.
take DMT to see this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that
And
one.
number 2, I think we should do DMT for an episode. we find a safe environment, and we have someone guide us through the whole experience. But I want to, and I don't.
I mean, everyone sees the elves, right? The worker elves.
Well, I'm always about expanding my consciousness, but also my consciousness is pretty dark, and I'm really scared I'd see something that I couldn't come back from.
I think that's why the shamans guide you as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be. I mean, I think it's always terrifying. It's not that long unless you do like the ayahuasca one, which is too long. But I think smoking DMT is like 15 minutes or 5 minutes, but it feels like hours.
Oh, it's like oh God, what the hell? It used to be legal.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is also used by shamans, but not in smoking form. So that's nuts.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. So much fun. Yeah.
And this is a classic that we've played before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we've actually covered this on the show, but it's resurfacing for some reason. Really great clip here.
Yeah, and he's basically, he heard a craft, he left his car, and then he's filming this craft.
Well, no,
hovering over his
actually,
car, right?
he saw a light in the sky, and he followed it with his car as far as he could, and then if I remember correctly, he couldn't find it, so he got out of his car and started to walk around, and then the light came back. I mean, this is from 2013. This is a really great clip.
It is, yeah. There's the sound and it scans, but yeah, let's take a look. You can see the lasers. Whoa. It's just hovering there to those listening. Look how it moves. No one in there. And the noise is gone. Wow.
It's such a great clip. And I know AI obviously is used heavily nowadays. I don't know if you're going to bring up that Afghanistan clip, picture.
Oh yeah, we have. Yeah.
Okay. And so AI can be used as an explanation for everything, but this was 2013. This is over 10 years ago when this video was posted. I mean, I don't know how the hell you'd fake this.
I don't know. I don't either.
I mean, that thing, the whole scanning of the car thing is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and how come I didn't know where he was? I guess it's automated or something.
What?
To look for.
I don't know. I mean, it's such a great question. Because many people, when they see UFOs, they talk about how they're under the impression that the UFO knows where they are. That's such a huge part of alien abduction lore.
So it's like it did it for him, like a show. Bizarre. So and the National Archives, the New Paradigm Institute put them all the UFO National Archives videos on YouTube. So we'll share the link.
Hell yeah!
I want I wanted to play one from. So we sent up the Atlas missile up with a nuke to space, and then the government filmed the entry, also the re-entry of the Atlas.
Fun.
But then there's a UFO that starts trailing the
Of
Atlas, and you
course.
see and the camera then starts to pan up to it.
All right.
So I wanted to show you the. So here's the Atlas V coming in, obviously very slow. Okay, this is where it pans up. So then an object shows up, which has nothing to do with the test. That one right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which would make sense if we exploded. I think it was a hydrogen bomb too, so it was megatons in space. Obviously, people or something's going to see that.
They want to know what those damn monkeys are doing now.
Yeah, and some argue, it is the only weapon we have against them, which is why we don't disarm.
Right, and that's why they're always around UFO site. I mean, they're
Right.
always around nuclear sites.
Exactly. So this thing looks huge, but it's out in space, and it just follows it along and then dissipates until it disappears.
Wow.
And even Arrow, it's in the files. This one that they don't know what it is.
It's obviously a balloon if you look at it closely.
It does look like one that's being deflated. So Elon Musk, is that a classified project? 1960, I don't know what it was, 3 or something, and there it is. So it's leaving now.
Very interesting. Yeah, I love it.
But it keeps going and going until it's nothing, and that's it.
Yeah.
So here it disappears.
Oh, that's always how it goes.
So no crazy erratic behavior, but just something that came in, check this thing out, probably see what did it, and then back. Looks like a reconnaissance mission, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
But there are cool videos in there that they are now in our national archives. So people that sit there and say no evidence when it's the government, like even the Roswell report, these are all, I think, interviews.
Oh, great.
Right? Is that what this is? But there's a lot in there. Oh, this is the Project Mogul.
Nice.
Look at that. Oh, of course, they're going to show this.
Yeah. That the picture that's always associated with Roswell, even though it's fake.
James McDonald, he was great. Hoaxes and mistakes. Look what they're telling our government guys.
Mhm.
This is what they're showing them. Hoaxes and mistakes. Stanton Friedman. Anyway, cool. I think when we have time, we should go. Maybe there's some nuggets in there.
All right.
That we can
Yeah,
find. 50 so far.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to look at that.
Oh, and here's the Afghan Reaper you were talking about.
Yeah, I don't buy this for a second.
Yeah.
But it was very well done. Whoever made this, they did a great job. But yeah, I don't buy it.
So where they're saying they got this, Jeremy Corbell from this grabbed from here. Oh, so it's a video.
Mm-hmm.
It's a.
We're back with an insane update on the jellyfish.
Who is this guy? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Stunning and just be the same type of objects. And honestly, we're seeing them.
There were a couple other nations involved, and the feeds were just shut immediately. So that
where'd
put
they
me on
grab this
high
from?
alert too. Why is it completely being shut down? But that's not all it did.
It's just what they're going by right now. For sending this my way, I truly appreciate you. Please stay safe.
Oh.
And you guys, take a look at these photos and sound off in the comments.
So someone sent this to him.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. It's nothing.
Right. Jellyfish, blah, blah. So it has nothing to do with Jeremy Corbell. No replies to this. But yeah, it just looks too weird. But I guess it would look weird.
Yeah, Well, here's the thing. So the jellyfish UFO in Afghanistan, we covered that on the show at the time, and it was the only reason it was caught was through an FLIR camera.
Right.
And
Yeah.
now, apparently this image is showing up, but this image is not, they're trying to claim that it is, but this is not. I mean, this is from nothing. No one can even provide the original footage this came from.
Oh, yeah, in that video, I don't know what he's saying, but if I understand him correctly, someone sent this to him, right?
Yeah, that's the supposed story. Yeah, I just don't buy it. I mean, it's very creepy and
Yeah.
cool looking, but it's not real, in my opinion.
Agreed. So remember that new movie called
It's the documentary about King Charles and UFOs. Supposedly he flew one.
Yes, supposedly he flew one. The King of UFOs, it's called the documentary. 1975 film reveals King Charles pilot prototype UFO. Now, that would make sense because it would be trillionaires on this planet or
Mhm.
people that run it that would be riding around in these things, right?
Right.
I mean, why else would you be king? He should be doing that. Well, I guess it was before he was king. But still. So this one, is this out already? October 7th is when this news came out. But I don't know if the show is out yet. Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
It's on Amazon Prime.
I don't think it's out quite yet.
The craft had dual rotor blades like a helicopter, but it could also hover in the sky without any sound or visible propulsion, just a faint crackle of electromagnetism.
Yes, why did it have propellers?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I don't think it was extraterrestrial, but it could have been technology developed by Nikola Tesla, which was being reused by the U.S., Canadian, and British military. So there's evidence to support, he said. Yeah, I mean, with David Grush coming out, 1975. I mean, yeah, if really gravity went underground in the late 50s, it's possible by 1975 we had something working that he could use. All right, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, for no other reason other than it's a really interesting story.
Right.
I just love that. The king of a superpower in this world is having a good time flying around in UFOs.
Yeah, and it would be them, though. That is cool.
Yeah.
And this is really weird, which is
I don't know about this one.
So it's like Inception, the movie.
Uh-huh.
So this guy, he is, I think, co-founder. He is co-founder of REM Space. REM Space achieved the first ever communication in dreams. We have already succeeded twice on September 24th and October 8th, which was last week. More details soon.
This is a terrible idea.
Wouldn't it be fun to have dreams together, though? I mean, unless it's a nightmare.
This just seems like this is a terrible idea to me. But let's go ahead and listen to this video.
All right. Okay. Oh, it's just music. Yeah, it's just music. EMG, EEG, EOG, EMG. So it sends thoughts over to a Wi-Fi device. And then this Wi-Fi device is connected to... They're both connected to one in the middle. So they can apparently send each other messages. What? Oh, so when a machine feels like they're in a lucid dream is when they send the message.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible idea.
Oh my god! I mean, you can definitely see this being misused by the intelligence agencies.
Absolutely,
head, right? Like a president, even.
Yep. I mean, this is this. You said it earlier. I mean, this is the movie Inception. Even me without without using these crazy technologies, I have a trouble sometimes discerning whether something that happened was a dream or real. I can't imagine if this thing becomes mainstream, how difficult that would be.
Exactly. Could you imagine just like plugging that in?
Ugh.
Well, this is a crazy future we're entering. It's like
It's
everything.
very
Anything's possible.
cyberpunk.
It is. Did you see this 60,000 feet in 2 minutes?
This is so cool. I love this video.
They're doing really cool stuff with space and propulsion.
Yeah.
This guy just takes off from a runway and gets into space in 2 minutes. Whoa. I mean, is that manned?
It has to be. I mean, that's a jet, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, some type of jet engine. Could you imagine just getting out of here and just going, all right.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah, no, I love footage like this. I love seeing Earth from above. I think that's a really cool vision of the future. Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. How high up he is already.
Going over
the
clouds.
runway's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was this?
I think Greenland.
Yeah, I was gonna say this looks like
or New Zealand.
Either one. I mean, this looks wow, look at that. Just unbelievable.
That's it. Gone. That quick.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And it doesn't look like he's using, all that much fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but who knows from a technical aspect.
Yeah,
Wow.
like what I mean, it's like these huge columns of clouds, right? Like we see with the rockets.
Right.
It could
It's
be
not
much lighter.
that. Yeah.
And there he is, all the way up there. I mean, 60,000 feet is space, the edge of space. Wow. It gets so peaceful up there.
I know, right? That's why I love it so much, I think.
Yeah.
Just because of how peaceful it is.
Away from all the problems.
Uh-huh.
There it is. And you could see, wow, he's there.
Yeah. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Oh,
So
man.
Cool. So space travel is going to be really normalized in the future.
Not in our lifetime, though, which is unfortunate.
I hope it does. I hope
it does too, but damn, I wish going to space was such a like flying on a plane. I just wish it was normalized.
Stefan, I think he's part of Dawn. Yeah, so he's CEO of, they're called Dawn Aerospace.
So cool.
Cool stuff happening, man. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I don't know if this was a hoax or something. This was some are saying that it's a. I mean, I thought it was a comet, but then they're saying it was seen a second time. This is the Soho spacecraft that looks at the sun.
This wasn't the one that flew next to Mars, right?
No, that was that came up because of this. People were showing like what happened.
Oh, okay.
With the tail, and this tail does not, because in that one the tail is pushed, right? This one it's not.
Right.
It remains.
Interesting.
It's a huge object if it's not a comet.
Mm-hmm.
Here, this person here shows, there it is. Says Soho last go is 10/11. So that was the second day. It showed up again.
Okay.
And then here's that of the comet passing by Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool. But see how the sun is pushing that?
Yep. Very interesting stuff.
And then it slows down and then goes right next to Mars.
It farts on Mars. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is really cool footage.
Yeah, the Soho really captures amazing things. But we're watching these planets from so far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Earth is here. Maybe this line.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it's seeding it.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it's like a petri dish.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the Megatron. I mean, not Megatron. Optimus talking.
The Elon Musk. Now, hold on. Do you think these are actually? So my impression of this is that they had someone or some
It
people
looks like that.
backstage who were essentially puppeteering these things.
Disney does that. They do a
Yeah.
really good job at it. Yeah. But apparently this is him having a conversation with everyone. I mean, he does react really quickly, which to me, I'm like, how is he reacting that
Yeah,
quickly?
that's kind of why I thought it was like there's a puppeteer backstage who's controlling these things.
Let's see. What does this guy say? Well, he's not going to say that it is. Tesla introduced. Is anyone saying here about that? Feels like there are humans controlling those behind the scene.
Yep. Yep. That person had the
Yeah.
same thought as I did.
Yeah. Still Musk is a Zionist. All right, so let's listen to tape.
It's even talking.
John, where's John?
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you?
How you doing?
That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Almond Valley or do you live in Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful. Very
Yeah.
nice area.
Where do you live?
Beautiful hiking I hear out there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah, this
Did you
is
say Colorado?
awesome.
Palo Alto.
Oh.
And that's where we live with a wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are.
Oh my God.
And that's something I try harder to do every day, and I hope that you will help us become that.
Well, awesome. Nice to meet you, Optimus.
You as well.
Weird.
Yeah, I think that's someone backstage with a microphone.
Yeah, could be. Could be. It would make it less scary, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if this is 100% a robot, AI robot, this is Terminator. I mean, this is scary stuff.
Right, and it's the way how quickly it's accessing because it knew there's good hiking up where that guy was from, and yeah. So this from Tony Heller is saying because of all that talk about hurricanes being made by the government.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting stuff. I mean, so hopefully, well, I guess for those of you who are listening in the future, many months or years from now, there were two hurricanes that happened. One that hit North Carolina very famously, and another one that we covered the North Carolina hurricane. Was that Helene? Yeah, it was
Helene. Yeah, and then there was the Florida one, right? I don't forget the name.
That's
though.
Milton. There was another hurricane that hit Florida called Milton. And it did some pretty devastating damage, but few deaths actually. Only from what last I heard, only 6 people died.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, and when it hit ground, it didn't hit as strong, right? That they thought.
Yeah, it had got upgraded to a Category 5 before it hit Florida, and then by the time it hit Florida, it was down to a Category 3, which is still really serious, but
yeah,
obviously not as serious as a Category 5.
But there was lots of posts online about like the government's controlling these hurricanes. So Tony Heller, he's a known environmental scientist. He said hurricanes are driven by vast amounts of energy, which far exceed human energy production capabilities. If you believe humans control hurricanes, you aren't thinking clearly. He's saying that it takes. So the average hurricane produces energy equivalent to about 10,000 nuclear bombs. So if he's just saying that it will be obvious if someone is trying to control hurricanes, you can't hide it. It will take a lot of energy, even directing it, I guess.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who were tracking the planes that were tracking the hurricanes, and they were doing really. Did you see this?
I think so. I think Greg Reese did something.
Like they were doing really weird things.
Yeah.
Near the hurricane.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure where I land on. I mean, our government is pretty corrupt, but they're also really fucking stupid. I don't think they've got the power to control these hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, they can influence weather. I mean, here's this, and after North Carolina, for some reason, this helicopter came down.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff about these hurricanes. I don't know if you've got it queued up. I can't remember if I sent it to you or not, but there's that. There's the footage of Kamala standing in front of a cargo plane that's getting ready to drop supplies, and then the guy, one of the pilots of the plane, came out and said that they never delivered that stuff. It was just literally for the photo op.
Oh my God, no, I didn't see
I
that
guess I
one.
didn't send that to you. But yeah, no, this is pretty wild. This is very bizarre. This is very Illuminati conspiracy bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, our government working against us.
Yeah, I mean, these were all donated items. This was a supply area for people in need, and this helicopter wanted to force itself to land, and instead just blew all the supplies off.
Yeah, this is pretty wild. The people who are working there in conjunction with the government had basically said this is a no fly zone, no helicopters allowed. I don't remember the reason why, but then this black helicopter with someone who is wearing a mask, and it's a military helicopter. This is not a civilian helicopter.
Right.
Flew over, got really low, and what do they call it? An air drying. They basically flew low enough to screw everything up and blow things around.
Yep, and here's that footage of it. And they went flying everywhere. And I guess they just took. I guess they didn't find a place to land, and they took off. It looks like here it is.
If we're going full conspiracy, they did this on purpose. It wasn't because they were looking for a place to land. They flew like that in order to blow everything around.
So messed up, dude. So messed up.
It's
coming together.
It's clear that the government does not have our best interests in their minds. They want to screw with us.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't say that to the public, but just look at their actions. And we covered last week how they weren't letting people in, they weren't letting supplies in.
Right.
Really messed up. And of course, we have Miss Hillary Clinton.
Oh, Hillary, have her artillery. Yeah, I know. I remember her.
Yeah, this is after John Kerry was also caught saying something very similar, talking about amending the U.S. Constitution, especially the First Amendment.
They hate the first two amendments. They hate,
of course, and they were put there to keep people like them at bay and controlled. To protect us. That's why they hate them. So let's hear what this great person, this great law. Great. She's a lawyer. I mean, she knows about the First Amendment and the Constitution, right? And she should intimately. And here she is.
Forms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
Real harm. Words are real harm. So instead of combating it, you have to just censor it.
Do you remember
this podcast? Whoa. Okay, it's about us being friends. Easy there, Rumble. All right.
Do you remember when we were? Well, I know it happened when I was a kid, which means it happens when you were a kid. That old phrase, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
Yep.
Yeah. Now it's the opposite. Now it's anything I don't like is violence against me.
Yeah, and again, this could be why. Also, you hear this guy? I can't believe he was at the State Department press conference.
How do we let these fucking morons get away with this bullshit?
I know, but this guy's never going to be called on again. That's for sure. But he gave it to him. This demon right here.
And in July, Blinken said that Iran was 1 to 2 weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. So I guess for all we know, they might have one by now. And meanwhile, in Ukraine, they've struck deep within Russian territory several times, as deep as 300 miles from the border. And in that case, we don't have to guess. We know that Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal on the planet, as many as 6,000 warheads. And so one of the risks of arming militaries that are striking in the territories of nuclear powers is that one of those gets deployed, and then it could escalate very quickly from there. So it's rarely discussed, but it's important to address that the nuclear risk is real, and it could very abruptly mean the end of what humans have worked for thousands of years to collectively achieve. And us today are very lucky to live in with the fruits of that achievement. And I feel like we're treating the risks kind of brazenly. So my question for you is, we often hear in response to these concerns that, well, Putin, Khomeini, they're war criminals, they're terrorists, as if they're too inherently evil or immoral for us to negotiate with. But meanwhile, this administration has financed a genocide in Gaza for the last year, and every day you're up there denying accountability for it. So, I mean, what gives you the right to lecture other countries on their moral?
So if you have a policy question for me, I'm happy to take it. If you want to give a speech,
No, but
there are plenty of places in Washington where you can give a speech.
Yeah, but people are sick of the bullshit in here. I mean, like, it is a genocide. You are abetting it, and you are risking nuclear war in Ukraine for this
plenty of
proxy
other
war.
places to give a speech. Go ahead.
Look at that smirk on his face. Plenty of
there's
space to give a speech.
There's the oh man, there's a term for it. The something. The oh god, it's called the something delight. It starts with a D. Anyway, when people know they're about to lie, they get kind of giddy about it, and they have a smirk on their face.
That's his face.
God damn it! What the hell is it called? I'm gonna Google.
I wish I knew it, because that guy always has that face on.
Yeah.
Always.
It's gonna bug me. Go ahead and go on, and I'm gonna look this up.
Okay, so of course, with that, we have U.S. deploying troops to Israel with THAAD. THAAD is our missile defense system. We're sending troops there, and with these systems, it's called a terminal high altitude area defense. So this is how it starts, folks. This is how it starts. We're sending troops over to Israel, and they could be injured because they'll probably be targets. And I don't remember Congress ever discussing this for sending troops over there. But it seems our executive branch could do whatever they want. There was actually a big hit that happened within Israel today. And I think maybe that's why this happened.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going back to the last thing we just talked about.
What was it?
The Duper's Delight.
Duper's Delight.
It's the little grin that people get on their face when they're about to lie about something big. But yeah, no, sorry. Continue about this. Dozens injured in Hezbollah attack on Israel. We're just ramping up to World War III, aren't we? And now we're sending American troops there, and that's always a really good sign.
So why don't we watch why this is happening? This is a great video by Greg Reese, and it goes through why this is happening. So I think he hits it right on the mark. This is Greater Israel right here. Which is a patch on the Israeli army, Lebanon's gone, Syria's gone, Jordan's gone, Iraq's gone.
They want the whole region, and well, they're going to get it unless that's the thing, is the American people don't want this, but the American government, they want it hard. They love Israel.
Right. And this comes into the whole UFO thing and prophecy and all this stuff, but here, let's listen to this great presentation.
A recent video going viral shows Israel's finance minister saying that the Jewish state must extend into Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. But he's been saying this for over a year.
Look, the Jordanians, for starters, did not like the statement, but even less the setting of the stage, with Smotrich giving the statement it gave the address on the podium was a map of Greater Israel that includes parts of modern day Jordan, and that's what got Amman to blast the statement. They said that Smotrich's actions constituted an act of reckless incitement as well as a violation of international norms and the peace agreement between Israel and Jordan. The deputy speaker of Jordanian parliament took it a step further, calling on the Jordanian military to, quote, take up arms, and saying that all options should be on the table for Jordan given the extremist statements.
Some Israeli soldiers wear the Greater Israel patch on their uniforms. Many Israelis believe it is prophesied by God, and the radical American prophecy Christians agree.
But what I'm saying is, I believe eventually our borders will extend from Lebanon to the Great Desert which is Saudi Arabia, and then from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates. And who's on the other side of the Euphrates? The Kurds. And the Kurds are our friends. So we have the Mediterranean behind us, the Kurds in front of us, Lebanon, which really needs the umbrella of protection of Israel. And then we're going to take, I believe we're going to take Mecca, Medina, and Mount Sinai and purify those places.
You know, it's going to happen.
Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that he wants his country to become a big Israel. And while young Ukrainians are sacrificed for the U.S. State Department war with Russia, Jewish settlers from Israel are setting up homes in their place. We are told that Israel is defending themselves from Hamas, but a leaked telegram from Israel states that Hamas served as a useful countergroup against the PLO. In 2019, Benjamin Netanyahu said, anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. The CIA, MI6, Mossad, and their intelligence counterparts have a long history of fostering terrorist groups and using them as the boogeyman to sell nonstop illegal wars in the Middle East. And do not forget that after 9/11, the United States Department of Defense planned on invading 7 countries.
I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who had used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." So I came back to see him a few weeks later. And by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, "I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense office today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Israel and the United States continue to bomb Lebanon, murdering countless civilians, shooting young children in the head, and pushing closer to a war with Iran, a war that will inevitably pull Russia into the conflict. Why this is all happening is not entirely clear. Late naval intelligence whistleblower William Cooper believed that he knew the answer.
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity in a one world government.
Right. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Under the Antichrist. Scary stuff, man. Really scary stuff.
Unbelievable, these people.
Yeah, and they're taking us, they're just destroying the world for this made up stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I guess, well, I don't want to end it on that.
Yeah, probably. Good idea.
But Elon Musk, you know, he's really going to make us into a multi-planetary species. This clip is just something else. I mean, we know that he can land now these, not craft, what are they called? The re-entry vehicles can land by themselves, right, in the ocean. But now they're capturing them, like where they get launched from, they're recaptured.
Okay.
Yeah, this clip is so cool.
Well, there it comes. Wow.
Wow, that's right.
Oh yes. This will get real. It's gonna go quite a loud bang over it.
Oh, that's Elon in the background.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
Come on, baby.
Holy shit! God damn! No freaking way! No freaking.
Oh wow!
Way!
That's so cool.
Oh
No
my!
freaking way!
It hangs in midair. And it clamps on it.
Wow!
He's doing cool stuff. Sure.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, didn't he have to rescue the astronauts that were up at the ISS or something?
Yes. He's gonna go get them because Boeing can't. How does that
Boeing.
make sense? Is it
I
because they're
know,
busy
right?
making electromagnetic, anti-gravity and just don't know how this stuff works?
Just unbelievable.
Wow. Look at that thing. It's
That's
so
so cool.
impressive. Yeah, the way it steers itself.
Yeah.
And there it is, just slowly gliding.
Looks like a big tower giving it a hug.
Yeah. And there it is. It hugs it.
So
Done.
cool.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, there's a lot of crazy things happening, but at least there's good things happening, especially when it comes to space travel.
Yeah, definitely.
And will bring us on par with those beings. I mean, it's eventually going to happen. It's going to be a confrontation, especially when 0-point energy is out because of AI. Yeah. People are just going to figure it out.
Well, I just hope I get to see, in my lifetime, colonies on the moon or us going to Mars.
Yeah,
or
me too.
Us getting to go into the Matrix and go through this background.
I think we'll see people go to Mars in our lifetime. Probably 5 years. Okay, 10 years. 5 years. They said moon, I think, SpaceX.
Well, I sure hope so. If the U.S. doesn't do it, China will.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to. We have no choice.
The second space race. Here we go.
So put the music on.
I can barely hear it, but I'm into it.
Oh, I can turn it up.
Turn it up. Just yeah. So this has been the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We thank you all so much for listening. I hope you liked our take on fire in the sky.
Yeah, that's such a cool incident.
It really was. Yeah, a lot of stuff happened this week. But I have a need to know, Adam, do you want to tell us where people can find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us on X, formerly Twitter, at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher at all. Reach out to us, follow us on X, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want us to cover. Comment below the video. Let us know what you guys want us to cover. But yeah, you can find us on all video platforms, on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey, and all podcasting platforms. Our support link is always at the bottom of the show notes, so make sure to click on that and show us some support. Share our show with friends, family, on your social media. Get the word out there. We definitely have fun doing this and do provide a good service, I believe.
Yeah, I think we do okay. People seem to like us for some reason.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell a friend about the show, please.
Yes.
We want to get, well, we don't want to get famous. That's why we're using fake names. But
right.
We want to get popular so people listen to us. And so hopefully we can do this full time.
Yeah, and get the information out there and show just how much evidence there is out there for this phenomenon. And it's not just for kooks and crazy people.
Right. Well, thank you all so much for listening to episode 93 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. As always, that is I Have a Need to Know Adam. I am Mr. Topher. And you know what? Actually, so I'm going to do Topher's Media Corner here really quick.
Let's do it.
So if you like humor and also kind of science fiction things that come to reality, you need to check out the Cornetto trilogy. And what I'm talking about is Shaun of the Dead, zombie movie, Hot Fuzz, which is like a cop drama comedy, obviously, and then At World's End, or The World's End, I think it's called The World's End, a series of 3 movies by a very famous director who always uses the same cast in his movies. They are fantastic. I'm actually right in the middle of watching Hot Fuzz now. I have seen it like a million times, but they're really fun. Funny, really funny movies, really quick humor.
Nice. Where can we watch those?
Well, I bought them on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't rent? Can you rent them?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, get them at your nearest Redbox. Is that still a thing? Is Redbox still around?
I don't think I see it anymore.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you all again so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We will see you all next Sunday.
Sunday.